guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to talk about all of the new things that are happening in the world today when it comes to chickens and eggs, and even that whole horrible thing that the CDC doesn't want me to say. And every time I mention it, some purple-haired keyboard commando over at YouTube has a field day with demonetizing my channel and limiting my reach, with the algorithmic robots. So we'll talk about that too, because there's been some big stuff happening with that, even though I can't really mention the words. Over at Indiana, I did that video the other day, and it got up to we're almost approaching 500,000 views. And I got a lot of people who emailed me and said, Zach, they have decided to throw out all of these zoning changes, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm very happy to hear that. You know, when the people get angry and the meeting, so this was the picture of the meeting that happened before my video went nuts. And it got a lot of people really upset. So there was a lot of people already upset there. And then it got to such a point where they had meetings and they canceled the meetings because they were, afraid of the public safety. Actually, no, they were worried about their safety because people were definitely gravitating towards the torches and pitchforks. And so they did the right thing. They were heroes instead of zeros. And they decided to go ahead and say, you know what? We're just going to throw this out. This is all gone. And we'll talk about some of the other things, the little things that were in this that we think are necessary. So what I try to tell people whenever stuff like this happens is when your elected representatives seem like they're listening to you, you should congratulate them and say thank you for listening to the people because that's your job. You're there to serve us. And when they do the right thing and humble themselves and say, you know what? This is something we don't want to tackle. We have heard you loud and clear, and we're sorry for having brought this up. You should reward them. That's a good behavior that politicians need to do more often. Now, trust but verify. And don't make sure you're always watching. Pay attention, because what happens is sometimes these politicians will, and I'm not saying this is the case here, but just be careful. Sometimes they'll try to pass these things little by little when you're not noticing. Okay, so we can't get, someone years ago when I was working as a volunteer lobbyist in Jefferson City, back in my Missouri days, someone told me, a wise man once told me, he said, Zach, politics is the art of the possible. You do what's possible. And because of that wisdom that was passed on to me years ago, I learned that you should always watch these politicrators, because sometimes they will not try to pass everything all at once. They'll do little by little. They'll do what they can to get their tyranny through. Now, again, I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but always trust and verify. Make sure they're not trying to do little bits by little bits by little bits as a way to get their foot in the door. Or they'll do something like this. They'll wait 6 months until you're all back to your normal lives. You're not paying attention anymore. And all of a sudden, one meeting, it'll just come up and pass. And now you woke up the next day and you're like, what has happened to my world? So just always pay attention. Always pay attention. Okay, so getting back into Missouri. So a couple months back, I reported and talked about how the Missouri state legislature had passed a law that no longer allowed these homeowners association Karens out there to keep you from having backyard chickens. If you own 2/10 of an acre, you were allowed to have up to 6 chickens, which allowed you to have eggs. And if you haven't noticed lately, the cost of eggs has gotten completely insane. The cost of eggs is, if you can even find the eggs, and some places you can't, or you're allowed only so many to buy. But the prices are definitely going up, and the homesteaders these days, yes, we're looking down upon you mere mortals. And look at all of our eggs that we've got. Yes, we are rolling in the dough. And so it's things like this. In fact, as I'm going through, and I always keep an eye on Google News reports and seeing what things are happening, all you have to do is go to Google and type in backyard chickens, and then go to the news tab and see what's been cooking around the country lately. And all these news articles come back, and you get to see, how things are progressing or degressing. Now, there was a lot of these years ago, a couple of years back, there was a lot of these articles you would see. There were all of these legislation pieces or zoning ordinances were going very much against having backyard chickens, but the tide has definitely turned. And it's because people like you guys are paying attention and you're getting very angry. And again, politicians don't like it when people gravitate towards the torches and pitchforks. And so then that makes them start paying attention. And the smart ones will begin to listen and do what you want them to do because that's their job. That's their purpose, is to listen to you. So that's the tide that has changed. We're watching all of these state organizations, state legislatures, municipalities, townships, and county, all these different places are saying, okay, we'll let you guys have some chickens. You can have, a few chickens even if you live in the city. And if you live in the county, yeah, we're going to lift restrictions. If that's not happening where you live, then you need to go ahead and find your local or your area torch and pitchfork and, make some noise. Because you should have that ability in that right, as we have always had in this country, in America, forever, to be able to grow our own food. But there's people out there today, and again, a lot of this stems from the World Economic Forum, who don't think you should have the right to grow your own food. Absolutely ridiculous. And so you need to do something about that. But the tide has turned. I'm seeing lots of articles that are pushing and allowing people to be able to do these things again. And it's a good thing too, because I think the food industry is under attack. And we can get into all kinds of speculation on why that is. All right, now let's move over to this. Over in my state, now that I live in the Ozarks, the Arkansas Ozarks, there has now been a bill to broaden customer access to that WarClim stuff. That phrase, again, I can't talk about here on YouTube because some purple-haired keyboard commando at YouTube likes to demonetize my channel whenever I mention it. She's my biggest fan. Whoever, he, she, they, them is my biggest fan. A bill that would expand the sale of WarClim to Arkansas farmers markets overwhelmingly passed the House on Monday. House Bill 1048, sponsored by Republican Representative Cameron Cooper of Romance, told his colleagues his proposal was about food freedom and food security, and it promotes the concept of buying and shopping locally. I completely agree. Now, you can read down through all the particulars, but the reality is, where I live, out in the middle of nowhere in the Arkansas Ozarks, people have been doing everything this bill now allows you to do, or would allow you to do once it's passed, for years. I care not what your local government politicrators think. We do it anyway. And we have that freedom out here where we live. And even in Missouri, when I lived in the city, we did all this back then too. And you just had to know the right farmer, make the right connections, and of course, money talks and BS walks. All right, now let's go ahead and read about what the opposition said about this. 3 Democrats voted against the bill, Little Rock Representative Andrew Collins. It's not a safe product, said Collins, and we shouldn't signal otherwise by loosening up our laws, Collins said in a statement. I don't want to see more kids get sick because we are confused or ambivalent about public health, and that's exactly what we're going to see with this bill. How did humanity survive for thousands of years drinking this product? I just don't understand. We should all be dead by now. I think people are kind of over this whole you're going to die if you don't do what we tell you to do stuff. That's been pushed for the last few years. I think we're done with that. We're over that. You're not going to scare us anymore. We're not going to comply, so don't even bother. And if you keep pushing it, torches and pitchforks. All right, what do you think about all this? We're definitely seeing a change, in my opinion, on the direction of our country. We are seeing a big push towards freedom and the ability for food freedoms and things like that. I'm very happy with how the direction's going. What do you think? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hey, before you go, I just want to let you know I'm going to be speaking at a number of events this year across the Midwest. I try to stay in the area of this country. I don't like getting on planes. I don't like planes. It's just I don't like the airports. I don't like the TSA putting their hands up my crotch whenever I go to the airport. It's just not something I'm into. If you're into that, maybe you're fine, but I'm not into that. So anyway, I like going to different homesteading expos that are in my area of the country. Ozarks Homesteading Expo is one of them I've been going to for years. Joel Salatin also speaks. There's a whole bunch of great people who show up at these events and give a whole variety of great information when it comes to homesteading and homesteading aspects. So be sure to go to my website, AnAmericanHomestead.com, AnAmericanHomestead.com. Go to the events page up there at the top. And then you can click on that and you can scroll through and see some of the events that I will be at. I'm going to be in Jasper, Arkansas coming up soon. I'm going to be in Oklahoma coming up soon. I'm going to be in Illinois this year. I'll be at the Marshfield Expo. I'm going to be at Doug and Stacy's coming up. I think that's in Vandalia, Missouri, coming up this year. And we always have a great time up at Doug and Stacy's. Fun group of folks. And then also just some of the other ones. You're going to have a great time too. I'm really looking forward to hopefully getting to listen to and meet Cora and her husband from Pinch of Patience. I've really been enjoying that channel and some of the stuff that they share over there. So, and I think they're going to be at the one in Illinois. So I'm looking forward to that. But if you want to find one in your area, some of them are even free. Like the one in Jasper I'm getting ready to do, it's free. All they want you to do is pay for some parking. And you can do whatever donation you want for that, but you can get all that stuff, information online. The links are there on that page, the events page at anamericanhomestead.com. You click on the link, go to the event, and you learn all about it and get whatever tickets you need, and then plan your trip. And I'll see you out there. I can't wait. All right, guys. See you next time at the Homestead. Bye. One of the best perks about living off-grid is that I never pay an electric bill. I love being my own power company, but that means when things go wrong, I have to be the one on call. So I try and use reliable components for my power production. For the last couple of years, I have been promoting OUPES solar generators. I've been using them and abusing them, and as it turns out, they are pretty good products. They have power generators for all occasions, and they can be charged by permanent or portable solar panels, as well as AC power. They offer true lithium iron phosphate batteries, and this is important. Recently, a family in my area had a different brand that uses the less stable nickel manganese cobalt or NMC type batteries. The unit caught fire in the middle of the night. It was a scary situation and it caused damage to the home, but thankfully nobody was hurt. The generator, as you can see, was a total loss. This drives home the point on why it's so important to employ solar generators like the OUPES brand that uses the much more safe and stable technology of lithium iron phosphate, otherwise called LiFePO4. They offer small generators for travel or for powering an entire home and everything in between. These are great backups to have in a medical emergency or to power a freezer full of your favorite meat products, or as I have shown in past videos, for even backup AC and DC power sources for ham radio communications. If the grid goes down, you're going to be thankful you have one of these units. You can find the link in the description of this video or click on the banner ad found on the front page of our website, anamericanhomestead.com. Right here. That banner ad right there on anamericanhomestead.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of An American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.